Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and tonight's a little unusual. Tonight, the first unusual thing is Mike Jones.
Yes, thank you, Dale. Yes, I will try to live up to that in tonight's show.
He tried to be an unusual thing. The other thing is that we're starting tonight's show a little bit late, and Mike doesn't have his pants on. You know them as lower thirds.
Yes.
And so but he's going to put them on sooner or later. What we did is we were going to do a show, we'll do it tomorrow, all about the mineral withdrawal by the state. It sounds like they're withdrawing minerals. What they're doing is they're making sure that people in Josephine County can't go hunt for gold, that kind of stuff. Isn't that lovely? Now, we were going to put that on, and then what we found out about is that there was a meeting taking place in Medford. We've just now gotten back. You're going to watch a little miracle of technology, and that Mike, before we started to drive, he started to transfer the video to his computer while we were driving. And then when it was all done, he went back and looked at it, and sure enough, there it all was. And now he's going to play back for you a couple of the video excerpts from a meeting that we just got back from in Medford. That's amazing. Thank you, Mike, for doing that. So what I have over my shoulder is a motor voter fake license plate, and the real governor over my other shoulder. And
actually, that's a facsimile of the governor. A picture, as it were. That's not the actual governor.
It's a graven image, sort of.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, so I talked to Dennis Dixon, who, briefed the commissioners, at least two of them. Simon Hare's traveling again. Yay, he's traveling again. Good luck to you, Simon. And he briefed two of the commissioners about things that they can do to help out with the fight to try to get the state to at least ask us or give us any information about what they're doing. They don't want to do that, and nobody's asking him, trying to ask them to, except for the miners, and the commissioners probably won't be helpful. But so what we did is we pushed that back till tomorrow, and then tonight we're going to talk about the motor voter bill. So why don't you lay the foundation for where this took place and what kind of crowd was there this evening, Mike?
Well, this is right. I don't know if I'd call this downtown. It's on the west side of the freeway. There's one-way streets that go, I guess it's east or is it north and south? I don't know what are the directions there. It doesn't make any difference. You know where the public library is, the big public library in Medford. It was down in that general vicinity. And
it was right across the street from the Job Council.
Right. Yes, it was.
You need to know anything more?
Yes. So, and we went in there, and it became probably 50, 60 people at the most there, but they all pretty much seemed to be of one mind. These were people who were very, very active in the process of registering people to vote, and they were just jazzed about the motor voter bill. These people were basically of one mind. There was only one person who said anything that questioned it at all, and that was Dale. The rest of it, these people were all basically, falling in line behind this. And I guess it's because it helps them to accomplish their goals faster and with greater see. That'd be my guess.
Well, the thing is that there were a number of people in our area said, I have some questions. I have some doubts about this. Where were you? Okay, sorry, right. But you weren't. If you were there, you weren't saying anything. I couldn't let the whole thing go by without anybody at all questioning whether all this is going to work. And
yeah, I was a little surprised about that too. And just when I thought that it was going to be a complete waste of time, there was a couple of people that said something that was interesting. Other than that, this was just a wave of people who love the motor voter bill, and these are political organizers. the type of people that go and pick people up in buses and cabs and stuff like that and take them to polls. These are the type of people
almost
that
all
we're
of them
talking
are
about.
wearing buttons that say
Yes.
that said "I heart NMV, new motor voter." I love it.
Yes.
Well, okay, but things haven't always turned out all right with computerized systems, have they, Mike?
No, not exactly. In fact, we had a very recent mass theft of private information from. I think that was the Oregon's Cover Oregon. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure it
I'll be
was.
talking about that a little bit later. So, anyway, at least one person got up, sat down. The Oregon Secretary of State was there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And the person sitting next to her said, "Oh, Dale Matthews. Hi." I was like, I didn't know who it was. Well, it turned out that was Alana Cox, who is the person I usually contact when there's some, like Cheryl Walker is blatantly breaking the law, and we shoot the videotape of it and we send it to Alana Cox, and she's like, "Whoa, yeah, I can see what you mean here. Well, what's going to be done?" "Well, hold on a second." "Well, actually, we're not sure that we're going to enforce the law." "What?" So Alana gets to talk with me. She's a very pleasant person, but they're all kind of useless when it comes to enforcing the law. They just don't want to. It's not necessarily that she's not making all the decisions, but she's the lucky person that gets to talk to me. And I'm not going to yell at her, but I'm not going to be happy about it either, because once we've got the goods on these guys, then, like I said at today's weekly business session, it was today instead of tomorrow. There's nobody that's watching over you guys except for us, except for Mike and I and a couple other people that occasionally get up and do things. And you yell at us or call us names. We're the only ones that are holding you accountable for anything. The state doesn't. Sure as heck, Art Harvey doesn't. The county clerk, the courier absolutely doesn't. So who's going to hold them accountable, or at least question them? And as Art Harvey has pointed out, those of us who question government, we're morons.
Yeah. Well.
Nice. Okay, so we're going to go straight to the videotape, almost straight to the videotape now that I'm done blathering. And Mike's going to play back. We'll start with purple, then we'll go to brown, then we'll go to pink. Start with purple.
Okay.
Secretary Atkins, again, my name is Maura Roach. I'm here to testify on behalf of Oregon Voice. I am a lifelong Oregonian and appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. Oregon Voice is a statewide alliance of not-for-profit organizations that engage in civic engagement. And some of our allied organizations are here this evening, such as the League of Women Voters and Oregon Student Association. I wanted to address briefly support for Oregon's new motor voter law and to address issues around concern of privacy and confidentiality of records. Oregon's current non-disclosure and address confidentiality statutes remain in full force under Oregon Motor Voter. And one of our organizations that we were in discussions with during the legislative process around this, who represent victims of domestic violence, have submitted a letter for the record, which I'd just like to briefly place in the record this evening. So stating their support for this new law. The Oregon Law Center, which is a nonprofit law firm whose mission is to provide equal access to justice for low-income, vulnerable Oregonians across the state, and a significant number of their clients are victims of domestic or sexual violence for whom safety and privacy concerns are of the utmost importance. It's from this perspective that they are providing input regarding the proposed rule. Oregon Law Center appreciated the opportunity to participate in the rulemaking advisory committee convened by the Secretary of State. Through this process, we have engaged in dialogue with stakeholders and drafters regarding how to tailor the implementation of the rule so as to thoroughly address the needs of survivors of domestic violence. The proposed draft of the Motor Voter Registration Manual ensures that data regarding participants in the Department of Justice's Address Confidentiality Program and individuals who've obtained personal safety exemptions from the Department of Motor Vehicles will not be transferred to the Elections Division. The manual also provides additional information regarding privacy that will be useful to survivors of domestic violence. The Oregon Law Center met with Secretary of State and provided detailed review of the manual, accompanying materials, and we have been assured that our comments will be prioritized so as to address the needs of survivors. We are grateful for the work and responsiveness of the Secretary of State's office on this topic and believe the confidentiality concerns of survivors have been identified and will be resolved favorably. Thank you for your work and your commitment to the needs of survivors in implementation of this new law. With changes we have discussed with the Secretary of State, we support the rule. Please do not hesitate to contact us should you have any questions about our comments.
Okay, so here's what I just want to tell everybody. This is why we're making the big bucks here, is because that times 10 was a pretty good example of the flavor of most of the people who had something to say at this time.
Now Mike is all wrong. That times 20. No, I'm not kidding.
Yeah, it was they all pretty much said the same thing, with small variances. She had her little special interest that was in there. A few of them had similar things like that, but it was all just all hail motor voter.
Well, and the other thing too is almost every single person was reading from a script. She actually brought up her computer to read from that. It's like one of these things. You may remember this from election time. My heartfelt feeling is, wait, my heartfelt, let's see, let me look at my papers here. Oh, where is it? Where's my heartfelt feeling? Oh yeah, my heartfelt feeling is, oh, really? You can't just say it. You have to read it from a piece of paper. Okay. All right. That's overly critical. Oh, bad deal. Okay. I get it. But look, is it really possible that people can just get up and say what they think without reading it from a piece of paper? It was all like that. The last time I heard that much glad handing, it was when Cheryl Walker invited practically the entire Democrat Party of Josephine County to come in and say good things about her. They're the best commissioners ever, and there's this guy from the sneak preview typing it into his circular advertisement. Cheryl Walker is really the best. Cheryl Walker's the best. Yes. Does he forget about the 80% vote that was voted down because they were such lunkheads they weren't listening to the people? They forgot 80% said no. Well, anyway, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, the best. What's the criteria for best? We have better.
What else?
We have intermediate, and way up here we have the best. But to be up here, you really have to measure up. Let me tell you. I would really like to see the criteria. Lay it all out for me. Tell me why. And this reminds me of a lot of these man on the street thing where they go out and they go, why do you love Hillary Clinton? And they're like, well, I love her. She's great. Or whatever. Or, pick the candidate. It doesn't have to be her.
Yeah, all right. You can even go back to talk to people about Ronald Reagan. What was it that he said? Well, if you ask what he wrote, that would be none. But what was it that he said that you remember that makes him a great president? Most people can't remember the things that he said, but they love the guy.
Yeah, most people, and then there's hardcore people like
our
myself
viewers who do know.
Yes,
right.
they do. They do.
Yeah, they do. You do.
But let me tell you what, the payoff.
Oh, come on now.
Really, I mean, the payoff after waiting through all of this is this next guy. You're gonna love this guy.
Yes.
You could even love Motor Voter and think this guy. Wow, this made the evening. This guy. So, and then the guy who comes after him, of course. But and what was it? His name was Mr. Morales. Morales. Okay, let's hear Mr. Morales.
Been up but thank you very much, and I can for support this new legislation. And my name is Dagoberto Morales, and I'm a director of UNITE, it's a nonprofit from working in immigrants advocacy. And I think having this law allows to have open vision for the future. Being against this law is narrow or vision and afraid to the future. Let's open more about the future, be more open mind. And we trust the state to verify the citizenship of people living in the state of Oregon.
Yes, I trust
I
the state.
think it's finally we pushing more people to join the voter and elect a really elect our official. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for that statement, Mr. Morales. Oh, man.
I was thinking, I actually was able to understand him a little bit better being there than listening to it back again here, where you can,
I wasn't, and I speak Spanish, at least some.
Yeah.
Well,
he wasn't speaking Spanish there. Maybe that's what threw you off.
Well, okay. One thing I can say is I had a girlfriend who was German for a while, and she says, "Oh, your German is very good." No, it's not. Besides, every conversation we had was in English. Now, I don't know how many of you would be successful if you were in Mexico and you had to make a presentation or a speech to the Secretary of State of Mexico. Probably not so well in their language. However, if you're going to come and stay and live here, people do need to understand you. I think he did a pretty good job for, obviously, English is a second language for him.
Yes, I thought it was very the funny soundbite there is we trust the state to verify the citizenship of what listen, hey,
yes.
I'm politically incorrect. You want to criticize me for I'm not.
No, it was funny. It was funny.
Imitating a Mexican accent.
No, it was funny. It was funny.
It was funny. It was funny.
Yeah, it was a funny thing that he said. Now, you guys need to keep in mind while Mike searches for the next clip.
Oh no, I'm there.
Okay. Have you ever gotten up in the morning and found out, oh, I left my front door open last night, or gone to the store and said, oh, I left my windows rolled down and I've got some groceries in the car, or maybe something more expensive? Well, 851,000 residents of Oregon have just done that. It turns out that the Oregon Employment Department had a break-in their database. So we don't know if it was Oracle, right, the company behind Cover Oregon and that multi-million-dollar disaster. We don't know if it was Oracle, but the most valuable possessions you have, besides your child and grandchildren, are your date of birth, your social security number, your name, and your address. I can call my bank. I can call them just on the phone when they know who I am. And this is all they ever ask me: date of birth, social security number, last 4 digits. Somebody pointed out, well, there's a lot of people that don't know the last 4 digits of their social security number.
Wow.
And they vote. Okay. Yeah. All right. So your name and your address. All of those are out there right now, 851,000 of them, for any thief to take advantage of. And we don't know how long that door had been open.
Yeah.
So they just shut it down just a year ago.
Well, one of the things that is a little bit disturbing to me about Motor Voter is this makes it very, very easy, because they're systematically registering everybody to vote who comes in there if you consent to it. I'm sure.
No, they do it automatically, and then you have to reverse it.
Oh, really?
That lovely.
It's even better. So my thing is that I don't mind that it takes a little bit of effort to vote, although it takes very little effort to fill out my ballot and walk down to the mailbox with it. I will typically take it down to the courthouse and drop it right in the ballot box because I don't want it being tampered with in between here and there, But this thing, sucks a whole bunch of people into voting who don't care enough to pursue wanting to vote themselves. And there are those, and many of people made this argument this evening, that more people involved in the democratic process makes for more democracy. They said that. I don't know what that means, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I want people. I think that if you make it too easy for people to vote, I'm not advocating in any way that anybody should be restricted from voting. But I mean, if you have people out on the street going, "Would you like to vote right now?" and they walk up and they punch something on a keypad or whatever and vote, I would much rather people who care enough about it to read up on the issues and go out of their way to fill out a ballot and make sure that it gets mailed in. I want those people voting. I don't necessarily know that I want, because see, more people voting than are voting now by just by the nature of this makes more low information voters, you know, and people that are uninformed about what they're voting about. That's my personal opinion.
Now, my personal opinion is that of that 851,000 that have already been dumped into the system of liars and cheaters, it's bigger than the county commissioners. That's better than 1 in 4 Oregonians. So if you look around at any time you're at work tomorrow or wherever you are, and there's 4 people near you, you may be the one. So as long as you trust and believe in technology, well, you have to believe in some of it. Some of it, you're watching this show, some bits of technology, but we have learned not to trust so much in our own technology. Hey, Mike?
Yes. Well, you know, Mr. Morales trusts them, and he says that we should trust them. So, you know, I guess that's good enough for me, huh?
So since it was such a love fest, and not necessarily because I always got to be the bad guy, I thought at least somebody should say, hey, do you have any questions about this? I mean, I got the Oregon Secretary of State sitting right there. She was so close, I could reach out and slap her, which I did several times. But the point is that are there any questions from anybody? Everybody was totally in the bag. The one lady in purple, they were wearing buttons, all saying the same thing. Everybody was saying the same thing, and they were reading from scripts. So I sat down there without a script, and I told them what I thought. Mike?
My name is Dale Matthews. I'm from Grants Pass. This is a done deal. This is going to pass. I mean, everybody in this room already knows this is going to happen. So let's go into the future a little bit, look back at this wonderful thing, and find out, gee, what went wrong in a few years from now? One of the things that went wrong in the future was we already know that the state has inadvertently dumped hundreds of thousands of pieces of individual information into the laps of hackers. We've already lost some of that battle. And so this kind of thing is going to continue to happen in other parts, despite best of intentions. We never want that to happen. We have a policy against it happening. It's going to happen. And so it's probably going to happen with this process as well. So there's one of the downsides of especially being the first ones. We're going to encounter some problems. Everyone says, no, it can't possibly happen here. It's going to happen. Okay, so I benefit from the idea with my politics of more people voting. I encourage all kinds of people to vote, and we do on our show all the time. Please vote, no matter what your position is. I personally benefit from that. What's going to happen here is that sometime in the future, there's going to be more talk about people who've come to this area illegally, and we need to be more fair with them. Okay, we've heard this already, so it's not like it's a big surprise to anybody. And at some time in the future, people that have a driver's license, it may be somebody that's working on a farm, Viva la Huelga, okay, I'm fine with that. But they're going to be working there, and they're going to need a driver's license to drive the tractor. And there's going to be an exception in their case. that makes sense. And most people would say, I understand that. Well, now then, will that person be able to vote? There's a possibility that that can happen. All right. That may not be the kind of thing that you like to hear. I know it's not politically correct in some places, but this does make that kind of thing easier to do. Okay. So what are some of the other places, looking back from the future at this, where things didn't quite work out exactly right? And that is, we're compiling more of our information about ourselves into one place. One thing that I know for sure, well, I'd like to believe, in Josephine County, is no one knows exactly how I voted. The more electronic that becomes, and the more all that information is compiled, the more likely something's going to go wrong. But we can all trust computers, please. Okay, we use them all the time. But that's simply not true, that we can all trust computers. So there are going to be some things that go wrong. This is going to pass. Get used to it. This battle's over. It's not even a battle. I agree with most people that this makes plenty of sense. But there's going to be problems that happen, and it's a good idea to point out what they are ahead of time, so maybe we can do something about heading them off. Okay, not to be the skunk at the dinner party, but everyone's saying everything is wonderful. I understand that. Something's going to go wrong. It's nice to be prepared. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. One of the things I would encourage.
Yeah, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's wonderful, and there's nothing wrong with it, Dale Matthews.
Isn't there
at the dinner party.
Isn't there anybody that's going to even ask a question? Or everybody was singing the same hymns, you know, really? Nothing? Absolutely nothing? Nothing can. They have a policy, Mike. There's a policy against any mistakes.
Right. Yeah. So that takes care of it. As long as there's a policy, we're all good here.
Well, that's what the library board said when I said there's porn. No, we have a policy against porn on these computers.
Right. Yeah. So it can't happen.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. Well, armed with that policy, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, the nice thing about having a piece of tape like this, Dale, is just as you said, you know things are going to go wrong. And there's a fairly good chance that you're going to look pretty prophetic in the future when you whip out this piece of tape that says, see, I called this back in the beginning when, you know, before they dumped, 50 million names out on to credit hackers.
I appreciate that, but we've got our detractors. Yes, there are some who think I'm pretty pathetic now.
Well, no, I didn't say pathetic. I said prophetic.
I was kidding.
Yes. Well, okay. All right. And just, I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility that you might misunderstand me, the vagaries of the internet and all.
The vagaries of the internet. Yes, that can happen. And there are hiccups in that too, which is why I don't completely trust technology. Do you? Really?
No, of course not. No, we're lucky that we have the record of success that we have had with this program in terms of putting it on. But that doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. And one time when you're talking about the safeguarding of information like this is enough to, blow a whole wad there. So,
well, just look at this picture over my shoulder here. This is the governor, and she's chortling with joy, and everybody around her is buying into the whole thing, and they're all just happy, happy, happy. That's a good thing. That's wonderful. I'm very happy about it.
Okay.
But, it's always a good idea just to take a little bit of care and say, where can this possibly go? How can we, as I said, how can we potentially head off the problems? And I'm certain that when people were applying for their insurance benefits, their uninsurance, what do you call that when you don't have a job? We work so hard, I don't even know what that's called.
Workman's comp or something?
Unemployment insurance. Unemployment insurance.
Okay.
When they were applying for that, they didn't think that all their personal data was going to be dumped out there for everybody to take.
Right.
And there's a policy against that too, but it happened. And so
Right.
there's something about combining all this stuff to make it much more efficient. I say efficiency is the enemy of democracy. And we've seen that with the county commissioners. Oh, why would we bother taking this to the public? Why? We'll just do this. We're not even going to do it in the little back room. We'll just do this as a private matter, just between us pals.
Yes.
I like to maybe slow things down. I'm not suggesting that this thing is going to happen. It's happened. It's it. Like I said, get over it. It's happening. But it's a good idea to look at it and say, okay, where are the problems? With 851,000 of you, probably you're one of them.
Well,
with all that.
Well, and I'll tell you, one of the reasons why the governor is chortling there is because most of the people, listen, everybody in that room who got up and spoke about signing people up for, registering them to vote, they said that they're, oh yes, we don't care what party. Yes, they do.
Oh, because they kept saying this is a progressive move.
Yes, no.
We might as well have had the meeting in Ashland, really.
Yes, right. The point is these are Democrat political activists.
They are,
and their thing is to sign up a whole bunch of people, and the whole bunch of people that they want to vote up, sign up, are the ones who are going to vote their way. So,
yeah, probably.
Listen, well, and there's something notable about this, that there wasn't anybody from the other side represented. These guys are beating you at this game here. So if you have an idea to go out and motivate a base of voters, these guys have this sort of thing, this sort of methodology all to themselves. No one is competing with them in this arena.
And I'm not aware of any other media being there. We were there with two cameras to be sure we didn't miss anything. Excellent audio, don't you think? From this, and they weren't on microphones or anything.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, it needs to be jacked up a little bit because the slide is all the way up.
Well, considering the fact that this
but the quality is
camera, yeah. And so we were there. We were actually representing some of you and what you may think. And I think that I was kind of fair about it, not, just completely saying it's all going to be a disaster, but that there's a history of things not always work. Cover Oregon, things not working out exactly right. And that 851,000, that wasn't about Cover Oregon. That was something else entirely. So things can potentially go wrong.
No, you're right about that. That was, yeah.
So the more automated the system gets, if you completely trust your county clerk, then by all means, Art Harvey, then by all means, why make it as automated as possible? Why not just let Art do all of it? Why even have citizens come in and look over his shoulder, or as he takes the stuff and takes it back into his private office while there's nobody to watch? What are you worried about? It's technology.
Well, the ballots are still coming in. They're still coming into his office to be counted, though, aren't they?
Yeah, and he'll be counting his own votes. He'll be counting his own votes, everybody. Well, that's technology. No, that's not technology. That's something else, but it's not technology that's doing that. He'll be counting his own votes. Do you like that?
Yeah, interesting. I wish that we would have had more advance notice of this. I wish that we would have had other people that had other concerns. There certainly is some out there, but I think the side who has some objections to this and would have problems with certain ways that this thing is being used or implemented, you dropped the ball. You didn't show up. You didn't do your homework. You didn't get the information out soon enough to get anybody there. And I expected, because we got this from somebody who we assumed was putting it out because they objected. They weren't there. So
and the other thing,
nobody from the other side was there.
Nobody. The other thing that happened was, where were the 3 television stations? Where was the Medford Mail Tribune? I didn't see anybody taking any pictures. Where was the Daily Courier? K-Joe, you can forget about that. But I mean, we were, I think, the only media that were there. Okay, and not only were we shooting it with 2 high definition cameras, woohoo, but you know, I just couldn't take it. I mean, somebody had to say something about, is there any questions about this? So yeah, we were there representing you in a couple of ways and bringing you the news. You know, we're the only ones to bring you this story. Nobody else is going to do this story, probably. Nobody. So what kind of media world is this? What kind of political world is this where there's no coverage?
I suspect the coverage that we'll get is when they come on. Hi, this is so-and-so from Channel 5. You know, motor voter passed today.
Yeah. And a good time was had by all.
I mean, that's what you're going to get.
Is it okay to question things? Not according to Art Harvey. He calls those of us who question things morons. Well, yes. I question a few things. Doesn't mean I'm totally against everything, but yeah, given the record that this state has, I think it's pretty healthy to question it. And they're all, well, you know, it's all going to be good. You know, I hope so. I pray so. Yeah, I'm not certain about that. Are you?
No, I'm not. And listen, I know some of you people probably got caught flat-footed by this whole thing. Didn't know that this thing was even being considered right now. This is an administrative rule hearing. So this is not going up for a vote or anything like this. This is, they're telling you what they're going to do, and they're just going to listen to public comment. And regardless, if everybody there showed up tonight and said, this is bad for the following reason, they would still be implementing this when they're going to implement it. They're just fulfilling whatever requirement to go around and hear what people have to say about this. Doesn't mean they're interested in not doing this. This is, as Dale said, this is a done deal.
So at least you're informed. I'm sorry. That's all that we can do. Occasionally we represent your point of view, or at least your questions. You know, we think it's okay to question government. We bring you the information. That's just about all we can do, bud. And then you can be there to say something if you wish to. You could write a letter to the editor. Work. That's a lot of work.
Well, and I'll tell you what, probably in the next few days or a week or so, some of these videos will be posted. And we'll be posting them in social media, and you can, you know, make your voice be heard there if you have any objections to this. It should be out there. You should be talking about it. It's something that you know, ought to be aired, regardless of the fact that this is going to happen, as Dale said. So, but people should at least know. I think most people who tuned into this program had no idea this is happening tonight. No idea.